Well, hello everyone. My name is Julian and welcome to my tutorial. And today we are going to be learning some Blender. To be more specific, how to create some waves. And the waves that you can create is something like this. Pretty okay, right? Sorry, I will go again with those. And more or less like that. So, what are we going to do with this? First, we are going to close this and we are going to work with Blender. The version that we are going to work today is Blender 2.8. To be more specific, Blender is an open source program to work with the 3D environment and create your own content. It's free to use, and the version that we are going to use is the experimental version, which is not available to purchase yet, but it will be soon, I assume. Uh, so let's get right into it. The first things we are going to do is to create a new scene. Um, I will be telling you all the hotkeys that we are going to use today, one by one. So, as I was saying, we are going to create a new scene, create general down there, and so by default we have our first cube, an empty cube, uh, nothing else. So to delete it, we are going to select the cube with a right click, press X, and delete. This will get us without anything, but now we are going to hold Shift A and we are going to have this menu down here, which will allow us to create different shapes. As you can see, we are going to create a plane, and this plane we need to apply a modifier. Blender has several modifiers that they have imported from Houdini. The one that we're going to use today is the ocean modifier, which we will have here. We're going to press add modifier, which is obvious. This should be done with the plane selected, because otherwise, if we select this light, for example, we cannot apply any modifier. Should be at least one mesh. So we are going to apply add a modifier and create an ocean. We are going to have this quite big scenario, but again, we are going to press S from scale and short it out. We approach with a scroll of the mouse to have this surface that looks quite okay, we are going to say. What are we going to do now is set the look of our mesh. What are we going to do now is uh, modify the scale, why not, to make it more chop. That's the scale that the way we'll have. And the resolution, we are not going to change it now, since this can create that the viewport will be way more slow. So we are going to modify the waves a bit. Um, the choppiness, we are going to leave it like that. And yeah, more or less, that could be alright. So what are we going to do now is select the materials. Again, we go with right click to the object. We need to be sure that it's selected. We go to this tiny frame here. I hope you can see it. It's above my head here. And we are going to add a material. Add the material. I'm going to move now so you can see properly. Uh, in order to see the material, you should go to the render view, which is up here. And now that we are in the render scenario, we can see that we have a material, but it is quite empty so far. So what are we going to do is create a glossy material. This is my favorite material, to be honest. And we are going to apply some changes like color, For example, something like there, maybe there, something like that. And we are going to change the roughness. Since this is a glass material, if we have more roughness, is more, well, the light cannot pass through the object. But if you take it out, it's way more bright. We are going to have it in a 30%, something like that. We're going to change the color for a bit. That's okay. So now what are we going to do is create an ambient light, which uh, we go to this tiny world down here. We use node, which this will allow us to create, well, to add the light and the shade that we would like to have in our environment. We use it and we saw a tiny change there, but it's not what we are looking for yet. We are going to add some light, maybe there, and more bright. Perfect. And nice. Now, in order to see what are we going to do, we are going to click press 0, and now we can see from the camera view. This view is going to be very useful in the future, and you will see why. But in the meantime, we are going to press N. We will have these tools in the your right, and we are going to lock camera to view. This will allow us to move the camera as we move our mouse. We are going to hold shift to move it in the viewport, and something like that. We are going to be close to the end, I assume. Now, what we're going to do is click 7 to go to the upper view and select our light, which is this one. We're going to move it pressing G and then X, and then we are going to press again G and Y. So we can move without the need of mixing the distances of this light. So we're going to put it somewhere around here. So what are we going to try to do is to move this light, sorry, I will press 1 and I will put this light way more down, pressing G and then zeta, there. So what are we going to try to do now is to make this light to cross all the distance from the point A to the point B. Up there. So something has changed. Yeah. Now we do have our ambient occlusion that has been brought before. The strength is a little bit high, so we are going to be here and go a little bit down. This will change through time, you will see. So we are going to press 0, sorry, we are going to press 7 and we are going to try to make this light to move. In order to do that, we are going to expand our timeline, as you can see here, up the Hyper Island 2018. Like and subscribe, remember. Um, what are we going to do today is we are going to set a keyframe. A keyframe is a part of an element that was set in a moment, and after this moment, it will change. I will explain this. With light selected, we are going to go to these arrows here, press it there, and we can see that we have the transform, where we have the location, rotation, and scale. And here we are going to insert keyframe of light and the rotation, just in case you don't want to miss that. And now we are going to go into the future, I guess to the 50 frames, okay? And with the light selected, I'm going to go to press G, Y to go up here, and G and X to go here. And once we have crossed from the A point to the B point, we are going to add a new keyframe. Remember, we went from the 0 to the 50. 0 has a frame and the 50, now we have a keyframe also. So right click, insert keyframes, right click, insert keyframes, and now we are going to make this timeline shorter by left click and dragging to left, and now left click, and now we are going to see how this moves. Look, but it's just the light that is moving, right? So what are we trying to do now is to move the water. So in order to do this, we are going to click the water with the right click. Then we are going to apply a modifier, the one that we talked before, but now we are going to set some time. Here, what is the time? We're going to insert a keyframe, and in the future, in 50, we are going to set maybe 5 is fast enough. We will try. We insert the keyframe. As we said before, we come back. Now we play. That's quite fast, not very smooth. Maybe we can go shorter, maybe 3. Replace keyframe. We go back. This is trying and making mistakes. That's how you learn. Um, we can even go slower. We go to the keyframe, press 2, replace keyframe, come back. Now it's going somewhere. It's a quite short animation, but it's quite okay. Now, what are we going to do is go to the 0, which is the camera view. We can see where we are standing. We are going to make this bigger. And once we are here, something will happen. This will take some time maybe, but we are going to add some resolution to our ocean. So to do this, we are going to left click and add a 50. So now we got to wait a bit. In the meantime, we are waiting. Um, it's very important to remind yourself that you should have a proper computer to do this in order to, well, be able to do it nice. So now we have our ocean with way more definition, as you can see, way more smooth and nice. I will not play the animation because will be very lag, as you can see if you want, but it won't work too much. As you can see, this computer is getting very slow. Um, let's try now. No, it's not even working. We're going to stop it because I was telling you, the new Blender 2.8 is in an experimental version. So has been quite a few crashes, to be honest, a lot. So I would recommend to always save the project. To do that, you will Control S and you can put it wherever you want to. Uh, Tutorial Cerveza, no, Ocean. So save Blender file just in case. And now we are going to prepare the render settings, which will take us here. This is the dimensions, which is the resolution that we would like to have. This is Full HD. Um, I've been planning doing this in full 4K, so I'm going to Google resolution. Sorry, 4K resolution, which is um, which is a very good question. Let me check for a second. So 4K resolution is way bigger than Full HD. Is 3840 by 2160. Perfect. Looks the same, but it's not. We are going to start from the frame 0. We are going to set the folder where we are going to storage or animation. Desktop here, Blender, Blender, no, sorry, Wave tutorial, and here, final. Click it. We are going to fix some other details. For example, um, lately we are going to make a video out of this. Select the encoding here. We're going to make an MP4, which is quite nice. And now this is all fixed. We are going to proceed to move to the render display, which is this one. And we are going to add some details like the bloom, which give us a very beautiful light that we can change for a bit. It provides you the same light that you have in the ocean, I I assume. Moving the threshold for a bit. You can play with all these. You can play with the color of the ocean and, and so on. That's a screen reflection, which gives you a very nice deepness on the waves. And I think that's it. Yeah, that's that's okay. We're going to change the roughness for a bit. There. And now what we're going to do is, well, to render this. In order to render, we are going to approach to render settings up here and render animation. This will collapse and start rendering in another window. I'm going to stop the video now and you will see the final product. So finally, we had to wait a few minutes, but it came out. Um, so yeah, that's our final product. I was thinking, remember very much to go to settings where it's supposed to be here, render settings. No, sorry, this one. And this little friend here, Eve, should be selected. Cycles is another render time, and OpenGL is another one. So you should be use Eve. That's why we are using 2.8. So this was the tutorial. I think was very okay, useful for the industry. Remember, sometimes you need to make oceans and particles, and you're running out of time. So you get to do what you got to do. So remember to hit, smash that like button and subscribe. And thank you for coming to my channel. Um, Remember, if you want to see any tutorial or have any questions, just leave it in the link in the bottom and I will reply to you soon. So thank you so much.